If you can understand these 15 audios, your listening skills are amazing. I understand how it is. You can understand most of what I say in my videos. You can understand what your English teacher says. But when it comes to fast, informal speech, it's a lot harder. Today, I'm going to test you. This is going to be a gap fill exercise, so grab a pen and paper. You're going to hear 15 audio clips from British and Irish celebrities. These clips will gradually increase in difficulty. I'm going to play each clip twice to give you a chance to fill in the gaps. Then I will reveal the answer and pick out any interesting pronunciation features and explain any tricky grammar or vocabulary. So you won't just practice your listening skills in this lesson. We'll be focusing on your pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary knowledge too. As always, I've created a PDF to go along with this video. In the PDF, you'll find even more information about the pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar, and some top tips for improving your listening skills. If you'd like to download the PDF, just click on the link in the description box or scan that QR code there. You enter your name and your email address, you sign up to my mailing list, and the PDF will arrive directly in your inbox. After that, you'll automatically receive my free PDFs alongside my news, course updates, and offers. It's a free service and you can unsubscribe at any time. Okay, are you ready for the first clip? Here is the sentence. You need to try to fill each gap with one word. Are you ready? Here's clip number 1.
I love dogs. Cats, on the other hand, I mean, I do like cats. Don't ever do a film with them, though.
Listen again.
I love dogs. Cats, on the other hand, I mean, I do like cats. Don't ever do a film with them, though.
I must say, I am more of a dog person. Ready for the answers? Here they are. Benedict stressed the key words he wanted to emphasize. Love, cats, do, and ever. This helps the listener pick out the important information. And he also added do to a positive statement. I do like cats. This is quite unusual, but we do this when we want to emphasize the following verb. He also added a y between the and the other, to smooth the transition between the vowel sounds. We'll also pick up on this in some of the later audio clips. Next clip, let's listen to Ed Sheeran answering the question, who looks after your cats when you're touring?
Sherry, but Sherry's actually here today because she's got a couple of weeks off work. So at the moment, my mum and dad have them.
One more time.
Sherry, but Sherry's actually here today because she's got a couple of weeks off work. So at the moment, my mum and dad have them.
That was a lot harder, especially with music in the background. Okay, here are the answers. Did you hear cherry with a ch or sherry with a sh? Ed said cherry with a ch, but both of these sounds are very similar and often confused. To make the sh sound, imagine you're telling someone to be quiet. Shh. Round your lips, push them forward. Shh. You can continue this sound for as long as you have air in your lungs. Shh. The ch sound combines a t and sh. I build up pressure with the t, and then I quickly switch to the sh, ch, ch. Notice how the sound stops and my jaw opens. Ch, ch. Cherry, sherry, cherry, sherry. Can you hear the difference? Ed also uses the shortened form of because, cuz. And this is very common in fast, informal spoken English. And did you also notice how he dropped the v in of? He said a couple of weeks, not a couple of weeks. This is especially common when of comes before a consonant sound. Okay, are you ready for clip number 3? What animals does Adele want? And what do you notice about her pronunciation of want to?
I want to get some chickens. Basically, I want to have a little farm. That's what I want to do.
One more time.
I want to get some chickens. Basically, I want to have a little farm. That's what I want to do.
Okay, here are the answers. I love Adele. So Adele wants chickens and a little farm. But what's interesting about this clip is how Adele pronounces want to as wanna. This informal contraction is incredibly common in spoken English. In this clip, Adele uses wanna as a contraction of want to. I want to get some chickens. I want to get some chickens. We can also use it as a contraction of want a. For example, do you want a drink? Do you want a drink? I've included lots more of these informal contractions in the PDF. If you'd like to download that, click on the link in the description box or scan that QR code there. Let's move on to clip number 4. We're going to practice our prediction skills for this next clip. Predicting what you might hear is a handy real-life skill, and it can also help you get better marks in official language exams. Here is Tom's answer to the question, why do you love dogs so much? Any ideas about what could go in each gap here? Pause the video and have a think. I'll now play the clip.
Because they don't lie. They're just all heart, aren't they, dogs, and they don't ask for anything.
And one more time.
Because they don't lie. They're just all heart, aren't they, dogs, and they don't ask for anything.
Here are the answers. How close were your predictions? Tom loves dogs because they don't lie. Notice how he used the shortened form of because, 'cause, just like Ed did. He also didn't pronounce the t sound in the negative contraction "nt" between don't lie and aren't they. He said don't lie and aren't they. And then he said they're all heart. Have you heard this expression before? If not, can you guess what it means from the context? The idiom to be all heart is usually used to describe very kind and generous humans. By using this phrase to describe dogs, I think Tom is emphasizing the huge amount of love and affection you receive from them, and I couldn't agree more. Let's move on to clip 5. This is our last beginner audio, then we'll move on to intermediate. We're going to hear from the wonderful Nadiya Hussain. Here's the gapped sentence. Try and catch the missing words. There's one missing from each space. Ready?
When I was a teenager, I had one cat and then I just got obsessed with rescuing them.
One more time.
When I was a teenager, I had one cat and then I just got obsessed with rescuing them.
Are you ready for the answers? Here we are. Nadiya says, when I was a teenager, with the weak form of was, generally used in positive statements. When I was. Now the consonant sound z joins to the vowel sound so the two words sound like one, was-a, when I was a teenager. So when Nadiya was a teenager, she had one cat and got obsessed with rescuing them. In this context, got means became. We often use get with an adjective to describe a process or a changing situation. For example, I'm getting hungry, I'm getting tired, cold, and so on. Which clip out of the 5 we've covered so far have you found the most challenging and least challenging? It might not just be about their accent, it might be about the speed at which they speak. Let's move on to some slightly more difficult clips now. Are you ready for number 6? Here is comedian Russell Howard talking about a dog called Marnie who made it big on social media because of her unusual appearance. Can you catch the missing words here? Go ahead.
All her teeth are rotten. They took all her teeth out. Her tongue hangs out a bit.
Oh, let's listen to that again.
All her teeth are rotten. They took all her teeth out. Her tongue hangs out a bit.
So, are you ready for the answers? Here they are. We have a couple of really interesting pronunciation features here. Did you notice how Russell dropped the h sound or the h sound at the beginning of her and hangs? He said and angs. It's common for speakers to drop the h sound from grammar words like his and her, but Russell also dropped it from the verb hang, which is less common. Also, Russell said teeth with a f, not teeth with a f. The dental sound f is quite challenging to make, so many speakers switch it for the easier unvoiced consonant f. This is a common feature in many dialects. And finally, were you able to catch the last word? I say out, but Russell pronounces this more openly and drops the final t sound.
They took all her teeth out.
Okay, next clip. In this one, James Acaster, who's a British comedian, is talking about an old myth that the position of cows in a field can help us know if it's going to rain or not. Here's the gapped sentence. Try to catch the missing words.
Basically, there's a rumour going round The cows can predict the weather. It's going to be sunny, they stand up. It's going to rain, they lie down. Granted, beyond those two types of weather, cows appear to have very little idea what's going on.
Okay, that was slightly longer. Let's listen to it again.
But basically, there's a rumour going round that the cows can predict the weather. It's going to be sunny, they stand up. It's going to rain, they lie down. Granted, beyond those two types of weather, cows appear to have very little idea what's going on.
Okay, are you ready for the answers? Here they are. Did you catch the two phrasal verbs, stand up and lie down? Did you notice how he stressed the particles up and down? Most phrasal verbs are stressed on the second word rather than the verb, although there are quite a few exceptions. He also used the conjunction granted, which means the same as admittedly, and is used to say that something is true, often in contrast to something else you say about it. James didn't pronounce the t in granted or little. He used a glottal stop instead. Granted, little. Glottal stops are very common in British English and are made by closing the throat, blocking the flow of air very briefly before releasing it. Granted. Can you hear the slight pause in there? Granted. There are also two interesting pronunciation features similar to the last audio from Russell Howard. Russell pronounced the unvoiced th sound th with a f and said teeth instead of teeth. Did you notice the sound James used instead of the voiced th sound v in weather? Go back and listen again if you need to.
Beyond those two types of weather...
That's right, he changed the v for a v, weather. Like Russell, James also drops the h sound or h sound at the beginning of words. He said av instead of have. He also used a linking w sound to join to and av together, to av. Okay, clip 8. Let's listen to another comedian, Sarah Millican. She's from Newcastle and she has a lovely Geordie accent. She's talking about going to a well-known pet shop to see animals instead of the zoo. But can you catch the missing words here?
So we have perfected the art of wandering round pets at home. You got to go in with a lot of confidence, you know.
She's so good. Let's listen again.
So we have perfected the art of wandering round pets at home. You got to go in with a lot of confidence, you know.
Okay, you ready for the answers? Here they are. She reduces you have got to you gotta, and a lot of to a lotta. This helps her to speak more quickly and fluently. And another interesting feature is how she uses a linking w sound between go and in, go in. We often use w, y, or between two vowel sounds to link them. You can find out more about this in the PDF. Let's listen to clip number 9. We have Orlando Bloom talking about his rescue dog. Here are the gaps. Let's listen.
But I created, it was this incredible bond. He came with me everywhere. He was literally on set, on the boat, on Pirates. He would.
One more time.
But I created, it was this incredible bond. He came with me everywhere. He was literally on set, on the boat, on Pirates. He would.
Did you catch the two words missing here? Here they are. The first word, bond, is a strong connection between people or animals. We often talk about a close or a strong bond. Now, Orlando is British, but he's married to American singer Katy Perry and has starred in a lot of big Hollywood movies, which might have had an effect on his pronunciation. Interestingly, in Bond, he used a longer vowel sound similar to R, barned, which is often used in North American English, rather than the short vowel sound O, bond, which is commonly used in British English. British, bond, North American English, bond. He then uses a flap T, which is also more common in North American English. I say literally, and Orlando says...
Literally on...
Literally. Can you hear how that T sounds more like a D? How do you pronounce this word? More like me or more like Orlando? I've included more information about the flap T in the PDF. Okay, let's move on to clip number 10, our last in the intermediate section. You'll need up to 4 words here to complete each gap. Are you ready? Let's listen.
Animals, by and large, are not destroying their environments, although some of them would if they could. But they've evolved so that there's a natural balance.
One more time.
Animals, by and large, are not destroying their environments, although some of them would if they could. But they've evolved so that there's a natural balance.
Okay, are you ready for the answers? Here we are. Jane Goodall uses the phrase by and large, meaning something is usually or generally true. It sounded like one word, didn't it? That's because she used the linking y to join by and. By and large. She also elided or didn't pronounce the d in and she did this in order to join it smoothly to the next word. By and large. By and large. Linking sounds and elision are 2 common aspects of connected speech. Did you get the 2 modal verbs that she used? Would and could. They were quite easy to hear because Jane stressed them. Modal verbs are not usually stressed when they're in the positive, but they can be when they aren't followed by a main verb, as we heard there. At the end of the clip, Jane said natural balance with rising intonation.
But they've evolved so that there's a natural balance.
Her rising intonation may have indicated that she hadn't finished speaking. Okay, we're on to the advanced section now. In clip 11, we're going to hear comedian Ricky Gervais talking about a hypothetical past using the third conditional. Each gap here contains a contraction and 1 other word. Let's have a listen.
If they said you can't touch a dog in COVID, that would have been a problem.
Tricky, isn't it? Let's hear it once more.
If they said you can't touch a dog in COVID, that would have been a problem.
Okay, are you ready for the answers? Here they are. Ricky barely pronounced the d sound in the contracted form they'd, so we have to use our grammar knowledge to fill in the gaps. If plus past perfect. If they had. If they'd said. Also notice how Ricky doesn't pronounce the t in can't. We just have the long R vowel sound like in car, and then the n, can't touch. Focusing on the long vowel sound rather than listening for the full negative contraction, nt, is a good way to differentiate between the positive and negative forms in British English. I can touch, I can't touch. And did you catch the last bit? Would have becomes woulda, with just the sound at the end. He also reduces the long e vowel sound in been to I in bin, woulda been. This is very common in fast spoken English. Okay, time for clip 12. Here we have the actor Eddie Redmayne talking about his experience with chickens during lockdown. You'll need a few words to complete some of these gaps. Let's listen.
They were sort of battery chickens, so they didn't look that well, but we kind of nurtured them to health, and I spent most of lockdown sort of running into other people's gardens trying to sort of retrieve chickens that were causing havoc.
Let's listen once more.
They were sort of battery chickens, so they didn't look that well, but we kind of nurtured them to health, and I spent most of lockdown sort of running into other people's gardens trying to sort of retrieve chickens that were causing havoc.
Okay, here are the answers. We had some advanced vocabulary in this clip, which might have made it a bit more challenging for you. Did you catch the word battery? Battery. Maybe you did, but were confused as to how a battery could be connected to chickens. Well, battery here has nothing to do with energy. Battery chickens are chickens raised in battery cages. These are lots and lots of small cages in a small space. Eddie said that they nurtured the chickens to health. If you nurture something, you look after it and you provide it with the conditions it needs to develop and be successful. In this case, Eddie and his family provided their chickens with the necessary conditions to recover. And what did the chickens do in return? They caused havoc. Havoc is a word with a similar meaning to chaos. If you create havoc, you might damage things, make a lot of noise, or cause general confusion. So Eddie's chickens escaped into neighbouring gardens and had to be retrieved. If you retrieve something, you get it back. This clip is packed full of interesting things. There's a longer explanation in the PDF that goes with this video, so don't forget to check that out. Okay, we've got another clip with some tricky language. This time it's idiomatic language. Let's listen to number 13 with Colin Farrell answering the question, why do animals make such good co-stars? Here's the sentence. Try to complete the 2 phrases.
Because you're trying to, when you're telling stories for film or television, you're trying to make things look like they're happening on the fly, and animals keep you on your toes.
One more time.
Because you're trying to, when you're telling stories for film or television, you're trying to make things look like they're happening on the fly, and animals keep you on your toes.
Okay, so did you catch what was in the first gap? Happening on the fly. If something happens on the fly, it happens spontaneously, without any preparation. And in the second gap, we have to keep you on your toes. To say that something keeps you on your toes means that it requires you to stay alert, attentive, and ready to react quickly to the situation that arises. Okay, it's time for our penultimate clip from Scottish actor David Tennant. Let's listen to him talk about his dog. How does he describe her?
She's about that big. More of a hand towel than a little fluffy thing. Very excitable.
Let's listen once more.
She's about that big. More of a hand towel than a little fluffy thing. Very excitable.
Okay, how does he describe her? Well, interestingly, David omits the verb is completely and just says she about rather than she's about. And what does he compare her to? A hand towel. Bravo if you caught that, as it's a pretty unusual comparison to make. David also elides the d in hand towel. He says hand towel. Many speakers drop the d sound, especially when it occurs between 2 consonant sounds. In the last gap, we had the word fluffy. If a dog is fluffy, it's covered in lots of soft fur, like this. Okay, time for our final clip, clip 15. We're going to end with a very strange story from the late Paul O'Grady. Are you ready? Here's your sentence. Let's listen.
And here's Dot, my cow, in the kitchen. And she was eating a bit of yellow fish that was from the night before in the sink.
Let's listen one more time.
And here's Dot, my cow, in the kitchen. And she was eating a bit of yellow fish that was from the night before in the sink.
Okay, this one is incredibly challenging. Not only is the sentence somewhat surreal, but Paul also has a very distinct Liverpool or Scouse accent. Did you notice he said me instead of my? Dot me cow. And did you hear what Dot was eating from the kitchen sink? Yellowfish, a type of freshwater fish. What's interesting though is how Paul pronounced yellow. He said yellowfish. And the last word, left, was hard to distinguish as Paul pronounced left more like lift and said the word really quickly. If you managed to get all of those words, then well done. That was really tough. Okay, lovely students, what was your total score? I'd love to know, share it in the comments. There is so much more information to go through in the PDF that goes with this video. The link is in the description box, or you can scan that QR code there. I'd love to know which clips you found the most challenging and which you found easiest. I really hope you enjoyed this lesson. I know it was very challenging. Let me know if you'd enjoy another one. Maybe it could be harder or easier. Don't forget to check out my English courses. I've got my B1, B2 and C1 3-month English programs. If you'd like to check out my 3-month English programs, visit englishwithlucy.com. I hope to see you in another lesson. Mwah!